I see stuff coming in. Yeah, I see it fine.
Nice. And also, let me test quickly again. If the sound works from this computer, but I just tested it with Stefan. Let's just do some Ibiza.
9 Kalorien ohne Süßungsmittel. Die Limo ultraleicht von Garnini.
I hear sound from the YouTube, so
Okay,
should be fine.
great. Good. Okay, cool. So, and now it's also on Twitch TV/PSNF.
And the YouTube and Periscope. So be aware, we have 500 million people watching now.
Okay.
Actually,
you monitor
no.
the comments, or?
Yeah, I have a chat open here with all the comments, so I can read. And if there's any specific question, I'll reply or re-ask it to you so we can see. Blackpawn says hello. Hello, Blackpawn. Welcome.
Hey ho.
Have you ever used Cables, Blackpawn? I think you would really like it. Do you know Blackpawn, Pandur? He's like a American demo scener, very old school, so probably you've seen some of his old stuff.
I know the name, yeah, but I don't.
Explosive for a few years, doing stuff with Trace.
Ah, nice.
Hey, Alien.
Explosive was awesome.
Blackpawn is saying that he played a little bit with the Cables and that it's awesome. So
Thanks.
You have a fan already. It's really powerful. I don't know why I do know why I don't use it as much. It's because I don't have time to do everything. That's why I don't. But like if I were using a demo tool, I would be using Cables these days because I'm pretty much for web-based stuff. Even though there's some drawbacks, which I'm sure we will talk about during the actual seminar in a few minutes. But
yeah, it's
there's
crazy
a lot of advantages as well.
Yeah, it's crazy what you can do nowadays, and yeah, it's just like I was always multi-platform. First, I did Java, which was the shitty multi-platform thing.
Yeah.
And WebGL, like it just runs on your phone, you know. It's but yeah, we will talk about this.
Blackbone is saying that during your talk, an explanation of sequencing scenes or clips would be great. So how do you do like timeline or sequencing of stuff?
Yeah, we will.
I guess you need a global timer of some sort, and then do this scene if it's lower than this, and do something else if it's higher than that.
Yeah, totally. This will be like the most important thing, probably. Yeah.
Right, let me spam that we have started. Or
yeah, I will just go
soon.
to the other room quickly and then be back.
Okay.
Okay.
Be right back. Put some hashtags because that's how you get all the attention these days. Art, online courses, even though it's not an online course. What else? Seminars. I don't know. I'm out of hashtags. Let's spam this. Spam this on Mastodon as well. I guess I should spam it on Discord as well. And Facebook. I think Facebook. The root of all evil. Okay. Span is almost done. I guess I'm missing Fluid.
Hey, maybe I would just start some demos. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds like a good play. Good idea. MFX in Holland. It's pretty much just one effect throughout the whole demo.
What? That's a joke, man. Oh,
That doesn't sound like it should.
um,
I can see it okay, but the sound
yeah,
is...
I think it was like the microphone was on.
Capturing the...
Is it now good?
I don't hear it, but I assume that people on the stream will hear it. Let me test. Yeah, it's okay.
I
Got a little lag. That's like a little loud.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this is not the one I was thinking of. Yeah, I was thinking of the one that had like the river with floating people crawling out of.
With one feedback shader, yeah. So it's facing allowed on this?
Could be.
Maybe I minimize it.
Hey, Evil, welcome. On the chat, they also say that they hear the audio. It should be fine.
Cool.
Love the laser effect. Very, definitely very disco.
Yeah, that was the idea. Like, 90s style.
Laser disco stuff. So Evil says that either the voice volume is too low or the music is too loud. I guess the music is a little bit loud.
Okay.
Kind of hard to fix if you don't have a controller for that. That's why I love watching stuff through Watch Together. I can always control the volume globally instead of playing like the original.
Wait, I can do it here. Yeah.
Or you need multiple machines. I actually could use another machine just for capturing stuff. Just to control all the volumes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, what is working better for you, YouTube or Twitch?
Well, I have more followers on YouTube, but how do I say this? I have more normal content there, or well, not normal, but like regular, and the videos stay there. But considering how little I use Twitch, I have a lot of followers already on Twitch as well. But I mean, in financial terms, it doesn't really work. Twitch for me doesn't really give me any return.
Okay, you earn money with your channel?
On Twitch, I earn a few cents because of ads that get played, and I can't turn them off. On YouTube, I earn about 50 cents, or let me check actually how much it currently is, because I haven't checked in a little while. I needed to have like 1,000 subscribers to get the analytics going for to monetize stuff. Estimated revenue 11 euros, so 11 euros per month.
Wow.
But it's mostly from videos like how to install the Xbox Wi-Fi receiver and how to fix a badly mapped Apple keyboard. Those are the videos that really get a lot of views. Like creative
you do
stuff.
This kind of videos?
I did. You know why I did them? Because there was this bug that I fixed my keyboard not working on a Windows, my Mac keyboard not working on Windows like 3 or 4 times, and I kept forgetting about it. So I thought, I'm gonna make a fucking video about it, so I know and I don't have to keep looking it up. So I did that, and the video just, not many videos about it were online, so it ended up on the search engine, and now it has like 200 views a day. And I did a few other things like that, like how to check what ports are being used, Ethernet ports are being used on your computer, how to set up your Wi-Fi controller, little things that take me like a few hours to search, and it's not trivial to figure out, and I know that other people will also have trouble with. I just do a small video and put it online, and sometimes they get picked up, other times not really. Thank you, Black Pawn, for the free Amazon Prime. That's like €2.50 that I get.
This is like you increased your income by 50% right now.
Yeah, thank you, Black Pawn. You doubled my income this month. Because subscriptions on Twitch, subscriptions on Twitch are like €5 or $5. I'm not sure anymore, and they take half of it, and the creator receives the other half. Yeah, and they only pay you after you reach like a minimum of accumulated value of like, I don't know, €200 or something like that. I think. I'm not sure. I didn't receive any payment from Twitch at all my whole lifetime, so I don't know. But I know if I check the stats, I have a few cents there listed as received. So yeah. YouTube is working a little bit better, but I also invest a lot more into creating content for YouTube, even though it's completely variety channel. I do like 25% demo scene, 40% video games, and I even do like book reviews, technical stuff. I have too much stuff. Evil is asking if the previous production was made with cables. Yes, it was. That is the reason why we are showing it. Which demo are you going to play next, Pandur?
This is Nostrum by Holon. But we can talk about the other one.
I thought it's called Nostromo.
But without the O's. But yeah, it's called Nostromo. It's Nostromo, yeah.
I figured out your special trick. But okay, let's talk about the MFX collaboration. Was that your idea? Was it Nico's idea? Where did it come from?
It was so. I think we talked about like for years, like doing a demo together, and I think like he moved to Berlin like 4 years ago or 5 or something, and we said like, yeah, when you're in Berlin, then we will make a demo together, and then we never did it.
A few years later.
A few years later, like when the pandemic is happening, we try to make a demo. So yeah, we were like, okay, this time we will really do this, and this was like in February or something, and we met him a few times and talked about it, and like the general workflow. So Break, who's also a Finnish guy,
and also living in Berlin, isn't he?
Exactly, yeah, totally. And so we met a few times and talked about it and had some rough ideas, but like in the end, I think it's totally different than what we planned. But I think that's the awesome. That's fun. That's the fun in demo
part
making.
Of the creative process. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And
I thought he just used your tool. Did you actually do anything? Do you do any effects or?
Yeah. This is why it's Holon. This is MFX and Holon. So Uncle X, like, he is quite good in cables now, but like he needed some content. So I helped him with content and he's also like I think he sees himself also like a producer or director more.
Yeah, he's more executive producer than he's actually a coder nowadays for quite a few years.
Yeah, but I mean that's also a good thing. And yeah, so he directed me, and also Bagoof did a few scenes, and we just were throwing content at it, and we were.
And he glued it together.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and the cool thing that I love about Uncle X is that he really has a good vision, a good eye for like the style that he wants. So he's a good producer in that regard. Hey Dario, welcome to the stream. I checked. You did a stream with Daria as well when they were
Yeah.
talking through their latest demo. That was really interesting as well. I was watching
Yeah.
some of the older cable streams. That was really cool stuff.
Thanks.
Which is
Cool.
gonna
Yeah,
end up being quite similar to what we're doing now,
and
I
this,
guess, or today.
Yeah. And Daria's demo, like the Farbrush one, it's like I didn't help at all. Like she did it all on her own. I mean, KB is kind of experienced, but I like she figured all this stuff out and did it all on her own. So it's totally possible to be a cable snoop and do a great demo. And this is the best showcase, actually, the Farbrush thing from Daria. And but with
Wasn't that the whole
we,
point? Wasn't that the whole point behind the tool, was to make a tool that creative people could use without really getting nerdy with all the code stuff?
Yeah. I think actually, like in the beginning, I didn't even. It was just for me and for making demos and maybe work, and this totally worked out in both regards, in both goals. And now there are a lot of people that are actually like totally technical or techie people that are not programmers, but they understand the whole stuff behind it, but they are just incompatible with typing, syntax, and all this stuff. But they already have those ideas also from Cinema or Unity or whatever tool. There's a whole bunch of people that also like I don't know, like what's your past with visual programming that you used before or something like this?
Well, I mostly started doing graphics coding by code, so visual programming became a novelty that I found, and mostly what I used for visual programming was Max MSP and Pure Data, but those were quite, I don't know, I don't want to say crappy, but they were limiting. It didn't give you like the room to do stuff. And then suddenly there was this whole boom, like Scratch became a thing, Workzeugs became a thing, and so a lot of more graphical oriented stuff came upon. But I always felt like using my own code and framework. I don't know why, because I always feel like it's too much stuff to learn. Like my main problem when I'm trying to learn a new tool is remembering all the different nodes that exist, which ones connect with which. That requires like a certain learning curve that if you already know how to do it just by coding yourself, you rather end up doing that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can code demos, then I mean, everyone its own weapon. So I was like, I never really got into the whole node thing. I actually didn't really like it. So then I was working with Framefield, so the company behind the Still guys, and they were doing a project, or I helped them doing a project in Tool. So they used it for a few jobs, but I helped them. This was basically like the first time I ever used a visual tool, and then it made click for me because like Tool, like I mean, if you see the
you
old
change
videos
stuff
from them,
faster.
Yeah, dude, like I was there and Pixel gave me an introduction. And a few hours later, I was totally into it and could do like prototyping so fast, stuff like trying this out. And it was so fast. And I was like, fuck, man, I missed this all the time, really.
What have I been doing all my life?
Yeah.
I could have been doing stuff so much faster.
Yeah, but they also, like the good thing, and this is also, so Cables is really inspired by Tool. It's not like a one-to-one copy or something, but it's really inspired by this. So I started doing Cables like a year later or something. And the cool thing about Tool and also Cables is like you can just write code. Like I want to write code, and then you can do it in the tool itself, and you don't need to compile and reload and blah blah. You can just do it in there. So for me also, like I really don't like to patch like algorithms or something, right? I want to write this stuff in code and then use it there. But for the whole hierarchy thing and like structuring the whole thing, the node-based stuff is really handy. And I think it's like it's the mixture that works for me so perfectly. So you can just code and you can just cable it basically and just easily change values. I mean, the easily change values is probably like the biggest thing in this whole node-based stuff. So
when you're making a demo, you so much want to change this value and see how it looks, and just having it visually there, and just slide the slider and then slide the next slider and see it just change. It's incredible.
Totally. Maybe not when you're Nevis, but everyone else wants to do
Nevis gave an excellent talk where he would say that he would map his mouse wheel to the value that he was changing.
Yeah, I saw
and that was how he changed. And then, okay, it's this value, it's cool. I save this value. The next value I want to assign to the mouse wheel. But you only have one value available every time you run the demo. And this way you can have everything ready to be changed and tweaked. Someone's asking, does this output an executable?
So it outputs static HTML and JavaScript that you can download. And for submitting at demo parties, we use Electron, which is like a Chrome browser without the UI. So you can package an executable.
Electron.
We just do it so we can
have an executable.
Executable to the party. So like I'm also a party organizer and a compo organizer, and it's just a pain in the ass when they tell you, just run your Apache and open this website. It's just a pain, you know. So it's just easier to give them this executable, and it's fine. So I also never, after submitting it, I never watch the exe again. I mean, then we always make like a little microsite. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's really stupid of demo parties to demand that you do an executable. I know a lot of parties
but it's easier.
Or you can just submit the HTML and the JavaScript and, tell them to run with Chrome without the cross-site scripting nonsense crap.
Yeah. But then
I don't like Electron. It's so bloated. It just feels weird to be like...
Yeah. The thing is, like, as a party organizer, then you have like a Chrome open with the party master stuff, and then disabling the security. I don't know. I think it's okay. It's okay-ish.
I think it's organizers being lazy. That's what I think. But what do I know? I'm only a party organizer. Anyways, 8 minutes still for the thing to officially start. Daria was saying that she didn't even know much math before starting to use cables, so you don't... But one thing that I think it's interesting about visual tools is that you learn a lot about math because you see how it affects things. It's a lot easier to learn math that way. Like if you see how a function graphs things, you understand a lot better what function you're using and how you can change it and tweak it, which we learning at school on our notepads, it's a lot harder to grasp that. We need like an abstract way to think, and I think visual tools really help you with that. So that's one of the things that cables gets it going for you.
Yeah, and also like just seeing the result and just throw some sign in there or something, I don't know. And I also want more like data visualization of values in there, but so now you can just hover over a value and then you see a graph how it's developing basically, to get an idea. But I want more of this visualization stuff more easily. But so totally I think also, like, I know people that say like, okay, I saw a tutorial how you use like a modulo for graphical stuff or for repeating stuff, and then I never, like, people say like, I know modulo, but I never thought to use it in that way.
Yeah.
So non-graphics programmers said that, but I think
you learn a lot from seeing other people as well do stuff. Like there are some shaders that I would never think of doing, but once you see someone else do that, it's like, oh, obviously that makes complete sense. That's almost trivial. You were talking something about Uncle X before you were rudely interrupted by me with a question. Do you remember what it was?
So he did all the timing stuff basically. So he threw it all together, like you said, and he wrote some ops, and also Daria and KB did this like for the timing stuff. So they weren't happy like how the timing is done in cables.
Someone is
and-
telling me on the chat that the sound is noisy instead of the actual demo sound.
Okay.
So maybe you did something on the mixer there.
Didn't touch anything.
But it was fine before, right? People on chat help us debug sound because we can't hear it.
Maybe it was that demo or something.
There's like small static. Like try opening a new one. Yeah, try hold on.
Without music or what?
Let me check what you clicked.
Oh yeah,
see
I
if
can,
there's
I can
sound or
see
not.
it. I can see it. There is some noise in there.
Still not loading.
Yeah,
Come
no, I see the noise already. Like, do you hear the noise already now?
I hear it. I hear it when I watch the replay on Restream. I don't hear it here. So it's not your microphone. It's the
Yeah,
capture
it's coming.
somehow.
It's coming from this computer.
Daria is saying that the noise is gone.
Okay.
Our sound has lowered its volume. Well, we're not
I
gonna
think-
play many. You know what it is?
Yeah, I will turn on this volume there and lower the volume in OBS. Maybe that's better.
People are saying sound. We have it now. Works.
What? It wasn't
No
working?
more noise.
Oh, shit.
Now it's fine. Now it's fine.
Okay, good.
Works. Ship it.
Okay, never touch this again.
Yeah. Put a sticker
Um,
on it saying "Do not touch, touch and die," as KB would do at the parties. Anyways, you were talking about Uncle X.
Yeah,
what
so
was
he
the thing?
wrote his own synchronization sound code. So because he wasn't happy with the one that we had, and yeah,
Not
so he
good
wrote
enough for
something.
MFX.
Yeah, he wanted something with like. I'm totally not a musician, dude, so I have no idea about music, and I'm more like a After Effects guy or something.
Mhm.
I think totally different. And then there are those people there are people that want to sync on seconds, then there are people that want to sync on frames, and then people want to sync on BPM or bars or whatever you want to call it.
I prefer FFT myself, but I'm a chaotic
Mhm.
person.
Yeah, FFT also no problem. And also you can also import MIDI files, which we also did for the most.
You
for
used
the-
that? You used the MIDI import in 2000 and something.
Dude, it's
I thought
fine.
MIDI was deprecated. I know people still use MIDI. I'm just making fun of it. Didn't the
No,
new
it's
version of MIDI
perfect.
come out a couple years ago? Like
I
MIDI
don't care,
versus
just wanna
version
have,
2 or something?
like the hi-hats and stuff as a MIDI as timing information. How do you else get this from a sound music program? So
Usually if it's like the same cycle, the same pattern, you know how long it takes for the first one, and then you just do like a period repeat of that
Yeah,
same thing.
but-
That's the
yeah.
easier way to do it by code. If you want to
whatever.
make complex stuff, you incorporate GNU Rocket into your framework and don't have to bother about that
yeah,
shit.
no, I cannot use the Rocket.
Well, now you don't need it. I mean, you have your own. What do you use for timeline on? Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked that question. We're gonna get to it when we are on the seminar. I think
Yeah,
we can
there's-
get started now. It's only 2 minutes to the hour, so it should be fine that we start now. So welcome everyone who just arrived. Today we have a very special seminar. We're going to present to you cables.gl, which all of you probably already know a little bit about, but you're going to know a little bit more. We have the mother of cables.gl with us, Pandur, of Holon and 5711 and 500 other groups. Can you remember your own demo groups, Pandur? What other
It's
groups
not
are
that
you in?
many. It's not that many.
So Pandur created cables.gl what, 5 years ago, or started creating 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it started 5 years ago. Yeah, already.
And quite a lot of demos have already been made with it. It's a graphical interface for doing graphics stuff. It also plays music and allows you to sync stuff, and it's really cool to do some fast prototyping and change things a lot. So yeah, Pandur, tell us what you have planned for the seminar. I know you didn't prepare much, but you should have some sort of plan, right?
Yeah, so let's start with some basics, like what is cables, how does it work, how is it structured, how's the community part is a big part of cables, how does that look, really quick overview. And then let's just start editing and
let's make a demo. Let's make a demo.
Yeah, let's learn the basics, and we can think of. So for demo making, Blackthorn already asked for it. It's important to sequence scenes or something like the most basic demos, like a rotating cube and then 2 rotating cubes or something. So we have already 2 scenes. So we want to time this. So we want to play it after another. So the scene sequencing we will have a look at. Yeah, then how to play music, how to also do FFT stuff probably. But we can, you can, I hope you will just ask questions all the time and the watchers. And we can go through everything.
I have a question which I already know the answer, but I think it's relevant for newcomers. Can you put shader toy directly into cables and then fool around with it?
Great question.
I know you answered this already, and you have like a tutorial that was just recently made, like a patch ready to absorb your shader toy shader and have it running.
I haven't even watched the tutorial. So Andrew made the tutorial. How you can
maybe show the patch itself
code to cables. What do you mean?
Maybe show the patch itself. Isn't it public on cables.gl?
Probably.
Because shader toy pretty much is just a quad on screen. You just need to make sure that you have like the origin of the stuff, it's centered and not on the top right or bottom right or whatever it is that your system may use instead of what shader toy uses. That's usually an issue. And there are some variables that are passed along to shader toy by default, which new people might not really be aware that how to set those things up.
Yeah. So he just goes through everything here, and I think this is like part 1 of I don't know how many, but this is just the first part. But already it's already showing how you use FFT and how you get this in your own shader. So basically, this is like shader toy. You write your stuff, and then you have it on the full screen on a rectangle here, and then you can write your own shaders. So we are like cables. You cannot patch shaders yet. We don't have a shader graph yet. So, but you can just write them like in shader toy. I mean, the names of the uniforms, like texture coordinates or UV or whatever it's called in shader toy, is a bit different, but it's the same stuff. It's really it's a really simple setup. Yeah, but I think so. Cables is really not comparable to shader toy. I think it's doing a bit more
with cables. Like shader toy, you're stuck with that pixel shader for the quad, while cables you can do geometry, you can do post-processing, render to texture stuff.
Yeah, you can also write vertex shaders, which is also kind of cool. Yeah, but yeah, so shader toy, most people use it for ray marching, and cables is more like the classic approach to rendering, but maybe that's also too much already. Yeah, but also it's if you write like your own shaders in shader toy and you have a lot of them and you want to compile them to a demo, I think it's pretty easy to combine them in cables and synchronize them and make a demo out of them. So that's also an interesting idea, I guess, for some people.
Okay, a random question. I'm a new person on the demo scene. I just arrived. I load up cables. How the hell do I put a cube spinning?
Yeah,
Can you show it to us?
Yeah,
How quick it is?
Let's just start with the general thing, right? And then we create a patch. So you have to register on cables.gl to be able to edit your rotating cube. And when you registered, you see this website here. And there you see like, yeah, the newest videos and tutorials and stuff. And then you see top of the month, totally not ripped from Poe or anything. You can watch like what other people did with cables, and you can, oh, this is nice.
It's really cool that you can see the source and like fool around
Exactly.
with it.
Exactly. So you can learn from this.
You can learn
like,
so much from that, yeah.
What the hell is he doing? So I can click open in editor because he published it. And then I can already go here, and I don't know, I haven't never seen this, but I can just play with those values here and can directly like make changes already without even knowing what's happening here. I totally have no idea.
You can try to remove the Dutch color scheme from that tunnel. That's cool.
I think it's the plasma already, yeah. So you can remove it, and then it's great. And now I can save my own version of it. So I have created a copy then, and then I can play around with the copy. But you can just look at it and see like, so okay, so this is one. So this is interesting. And so he's creating this pattern here, and he's using another gradient here, and then he's combining this by drawing this on a cylinder somehow. Really cool patch. And then he's drawing it to the screen. So you can just inspect those patches. So you can go here and you can press D, and then you can like disable stuff in here and see what happens, or just change the values or something. And you cannot destroy anything. It's for learning stuff. It's a great thing, and there are thousands of patches already. I haven't watched the latest stuff for a long time, so
you don't open your own website every single day, 500
so
times
busy.
a day?
yeah, the development version, but not the live version.
No, yeah, okay, that makes sense. There's a question on the chat. Will you make shader graph for making shaders with nodes?
Yeah, we want to make that, but it's not on the list for the next month, I would say.
Another question, what's the link for demos made with cables? You have a page listing all the demos made?
So I made this. So one thing is on the bottom of this page, this is made with cables. So this is also like commercial projects or advertising, or
not just
stuff.
demo scene demos.
Yeah. So, and on Poe, you go to lists, and then you go to M, like made with cables, and then you have made with cables here. And so these are all the demos that were made with cables.
I don't want to brag, but I was the person who came up with lists on Poet. Just saying.
No, you were the poet.
The first
admin,
two
right?
lists are the first list that exists, like list with ID number 1 is demos from PS, and the second list is demos from the Portuguese demo scene. So those were my test lists. So yeah, made with cables, and all the demos are listed there that were ever done. Are you the maintainer? I guess you are.
I am, whatever that means. It's a bit strange, but yeah.
Okay, so putting a cube.
Demos,
Let's get started putting a cube spinning. I want a cube spin. How do I do that?
You can, up here, you can click the create button, and then you open the editor with an empty patch. So this here is our patch field, and this is our renderer. It doesn't show anything right now. So I can press escape to create ops. So those little modules basically. So we call them ops. They are called operators,
Operators.
and each of them, those operators, like has like one function or does like one specific thing. So and then you can chain them up and combine them to create cool stuff. So main loop is basically like, this means we are in a loop and we are just refreshing, rendering the screen all the time. So it runs in 60 FPS in the normal case, so it just refreshes your screen. So and now we want to draw something on that screen. So you can press escape and create a cube, or you can drag this out and then create a cube. You can go like search for those operators and press enter or press add, and then it will create.
What if I want a donut instead of a cube? Do you have like operators for every single geometric form that ever existed known to man?
Yeah, every form. No, many. But you can also import 3D files, which we will also do. But we also have a donut, so you can even search for donut, and it shows you.
You have an isocahedron, or an
we have a lot,
obviously.
But, so yeah, now we have a rectangle on the screen. So is this really a cube? We can find out by
if you
adding
use your imagination.
Maybe it's 3D. So we can add a transform. So the cube itself, when you click this, you see a lot of parameters here. So you can set the width and the length and height and stuff like this. You can just drag those values. And I added another op, which is called transform. So you can click this.
There's a question on the chat asking, is it possible to make new nodes in Cables IDE? Like, what kind of language do you support?
Yeah, it's totally super easy to do. So you can always press E on each operator, and then you see the source code of this op. This is the transform op. And you can go here and say clone opcode, and then you create like your own copy of this transform thing. So this is basically like full open source, like you can look in here, and this is the cube. This is how the cube is built. And you can just read the source code. You can click here, op, create code, a new op, and then you create an op by writing JavaScript code. And
that's really cool.
We can do that later. Yeah.
That's a really fast way to just change something. Like normally when you have this graphical interface kind of stuff, you can't really change the operators, or there's like a very cumbersome way that you need to do to compile your own operator, and then it's not compatible and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Just clone it, edit, do whatever you want with it, break it.
Yeah.
How do you handle versionings of different operators? Because I mean, I bet you changed operators as time went on. You have like an historic of them.
Yeah, when we do breaking changes, then they get a new version number, and then like we have like 2 different cube ops basically, and one is already deprecated, so you don't see it in the list. So you only see the newest version of it basically.
Okay. If you open an old cables patch, does it like include the version number and it opens the correct one automatically?
Yeah. It shows you also upgrade button for each op.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it
rotating
should be really compatible for the future. Yeah. So I added a transform operator here. So now I can move the cube around. I can scale it, and I can rotate it. So I press the shift key, and then you rotate it faster. So so this way you can like transform it, like put it in a corner or whatever. And so the third thing for rendering nice cubes is you wanna have a color to it. So there's, for example, a basic. So we call this materials, like most 3D engines, materials, which is basically like shaders. So I can say basic material. It's not that basic anymore. It has many parameters, but this is like a non-shaded. It's not a non-shaded version. So it's always this one color or like a texture or something. So
can you make it glanced?
Yeah, sure. So this is the basic material. So I can remove this and add like a Phong material, for example. So this is like a shaded version. So I can add like this is a really long op. So I can add lights to it, like spotlights or
Whoa.
point lights, and then I can already make a nice 3D looking
I
cube.
feel like redoing those old demos. Do you remember DX project by I don't know what group anymore? That was just 3D scenes, just showing different effects and materials and backgrounds. You could redo those demos so fast nowadays. It's really
Yeah.
ridiculous. You just needed the textures and it's just done. Anyways, but this is the manual version of transforming a cube. How do you make it like rotate forever? How do you animate it?
Yeah, so what we connected here is like the yellow path, and I can press F, and then you see the flow mode. So you see what's actually happening. So the main loop is executing the transform, then it's executing the material, and then it's rendering the cube. So it's setting up all this stuff, and in the end, it renders the cube, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically like the GL loop, what's happening with OpenGL, like in which order is stuff executed. So, and those cyan or green ports, so we call them ports. So I need to focus on the basic introduction a bit more. So on top, we always have the input, like this is called the input. So this is data that goes in, and on the bottom, we have data that goes out. So those ops don't have really much data going out. The main loop gives you the resolution, for example. So this is the width 640 by height 360 pixels. So and when you hover them, you see like it's the same stuff. When you click it, you see those rotating parameters, and this is the same as this. So we have a few operators that, or like we have a very simple one, like the simplest animation is just the number that counts up basically. So this is called timer here. So I created this timer, and now you see there is this number changing all the time. So I can just take this number and put it into a rotation. I can just right click this and drag it over to another port. So it's super easy to change.
Is it a global timer like Linux time that we currently have, or is it from the when you started, when you created it?
This is when you started. You can say sync to timeline, and then it's synchronized to the timeline. But right now it's just running on its own. So with this, like I can set up the speed, and then it's running on its own. It's just like when I reload this page, you see it just starts spinning.
Okay.
And so now I press F again, and now I see, okay, from the timer, like the numbers is changing all the time. So yeah, when I disconnect something, for example, I disconnect the cube, or let's disconnect the Phong material, you see this is not active anymore. So this is why we don't see anything. So the same with numbers, like if I set the speed to 0, you see it's stopping because there's no new value coming out. So this is super handy for debugging, like why is this not working, or why is this not doing anything? You can just press F, and then you see basically what's happening. It's also when you do interactive stuff, not for demos, but then it's super handy to see what's actually happening in the patch.
All right.
Yeah.
How can you do stuff on the background? Like if you want to have a single background image, is it easy to just put a billboard image, or
yeah,
are we restricted to 3D, or do we have 2D stuff as well?
We have a lot of 2D effects for post-processing and stuff, but we also have so this so we have a rectangle, and this is just like a flat rectangle here. But we also have a full screen rectangle, and this one is like, this is for convenience. This has this doesn't even need a material. If you just want to display an image, this just has a texture input here. So
Nice.
so I can we have like a file manager in Cables. So on this computer, I don't think I have any images, but you just can drag an image into the browser and it will upload, and then you have patch files, and then you can upload an image into this patch.
Nice.
But there's also a library of example files. So I can just take this image, for example, and drag it in here, and then I get a texture operator, and you see a little preview here what this is about. And I can connect it to the full screen rectangle, and then you see we have already we have a background there. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's that. Yeah. But yeah, I would first show a bit more about the whole hierarchy of those things. So basically, what we are doing here is like we transform everything that comes after this, and we are setting the material for everything that comes after it. So I can also create a donut here, like this, and it has the same rotation and it has the same color and everything. So it doesn't matter if it's, or like right now, it doesn't matter if it's after this cube or like if we connect it to here. It's also rendered, so it doesn't matter. But when I put it here, then you see, let me make this a bit slower. Then you see it's gray again, because the Phong material is only active for everything that comes after it. So again, with the flow mode. So it is not activated by this Phong material. So I can set the basic material here, and then it's just in this one color. And the same thing like this. Yeah. And the
what
same
happens
is
if you what happens if you apply multiple materials one on top of the other? Will they just blend, or how does that work?
they are ignored. So so what I can do is like I connect this here. So basically we change the material to that basic material. That's the whole thing. So the Phong material is only active for the cube, and then we change to basic material, and then we render the torus.
Okay.
And
because the yellow thing can be a bit. I guess you need to get used to it, because it feels like it's showing you the main flow, but it's a bit hard to know what you can connect to it. Programmers know that you need to do the rotation and applying the material, but non-coders might not know that. So do you have any pro tips for people who are not used to coding 3D on what goes where?
Yeah, so for me, this is very logical, because it's like, this is like how you set up stuff in GL, for example, but also think about a blank canvas. Like this is just a blank canvas, right? And then like we transform. So we say like, I put my hand there with my pen or something, I transform it there, and then I basically select the color. You can also move this up, this doesn't matter. Those two doesn't matter in which order they come. You just choose a color with the pen, and then you transform your hand there, and then you draw a cube at this position. So this is, I think, how it's easy to remember the order of things. And now the cool thing is like also this hierarchy stacks up with the transform. So we're just rotating right now, and so I added another transform here, and I can transform the torus away, and you see like the rotation is still there. So from the center, like the rotation, like the center of the cube is our center point, and from there we transformed away and draw the torus there. So, and if I rotate, I can now rotate the torus, like if I connect this to this timer, then you see we have another rotation on the torus.
Yeah, That's the hard part for people who are not used to 3D hierarchies of rendering stuff. That's the hard part to get. Like, you want to rotate, but you have to be on the right position for the rotation to be applied on that, based on that position. So that can be a little bit tricky, but I guess you just go there from experience, from trying a few things and understanding what's
yeah.
what.
Yeah, so you can make a chain like of transformations, but yeah, I would say in the beginning it's just easy to just do this with a rectangle and 2D positioning stuff, and that's a bit easier to learn. But yeah, so the cool thing is you can just stack those transforms up and create like easily like a planet system or whatever.
Do you have geometry operators? Like, can you cut the donut out of the cube?
Not really, a little bit stuff, but not really. We like mostly we do this in Blender or something in a 3D
you
program.
do a new operator, and you import the the model. I mean, like, if you want to do animation of intersection of stuff, how would you do that?
So we have. So this is already an advanced topic, but yeah. So you can.
Yeah,
we have something.
Is there if there's anything like from the basics that you would still think it's critical to mention now, we can leave that question.
Probably 1 million things, but yeah, let's just. I would just show. Yeah, I would just. So what we didn't say. So we have a shit ton of beginner tutorials, and I think they are. I think it's better if you check out those tutorials and start from the beginning. And we do more like what is like PS is just asking like what is possible stuff, and we just go through this kind of stuff, and then you learn it from those videos, because Android is also much better in English, and we have a ton of videos.
What 3D object formats does the importer support?
So we are focusing on GLTF right now.
GLTF?
Yeah.
No old school 3ds and Collada.
Yeah, you can also no 3ds. No, you can also upload OBJs or FBX. And
I love how you laughed at that, because no one would export a 3ds. Everyone would code their own exporters of 3ds just to avoid importing 3ds.
I think 3ds like can you have more than 16,000 vertices or something? But yeah, so but okay, so like we are already super chaotic, so I would just show like what you wanted to ask. So we have things that are called like shader effects in cables. So we now have this Phong material, right? So I have, for example, it's called array discard pixel. Nice. And this is a crash, and I already know why.
Well, at least you know why. So
yeah, I fixed it already in the development work. So the color area, for example, this is a shader effect, and it just colorizes your mesh at a position. So I can like move this color around, and you see like we are actually changing the fragment shader from the Phong material. So we also have this, and now it will work probably. We have this area discard pixel, so you can. Let me turn off the rotation. With this op, you can like cut out an area of the mesh, and then you can look inside it. So it's not really like a Boolean operation, but it's just basically like not rendering those pixels. And by the way, so right now I'm only rotating with the transform and stuff. So we have a super handy op that's called orbit controls. And when you use this, you can rotate around, and you have like a little arc ball kind of navigation thing, which is one of the camera operators.
Yeah, someone was asking that on the chat as well, how you can set up a camera outside from the normal camera so you can see. So I guess it's the orbit. Okay, so that is answered.
Yeah, so this is basically for interactive stuff. So you want to look around in a scene or something, Then, so you can also like the transform encoder language. This is transforming like the model matrix, so the 3D objects. But you can also transform the view, so like the camera, and then you can scale the whole camera view and move the camera. That was a bit fast. Move the camera around, and then you're not changing like the position of the cube. You're just changing like the camera stuff. But we also have like there's an opcode camera, which is really cool. And this was made by a user actually, and not by us. And he wrote a system where you can do those typical camera movements that are used in cinema, like pan, dolly, and roll, and this kind of stuff. So this is quite handy.
If you want like a cinematic touch to the scene, you can just tweak these instead of doing the whole. That's really cool.
Yeah, then we have like a WASD camera, and then you can move around like in a first-person shooter.
How do you rotate down with the mouse? The mouse orients.
Yeah. It's like in Counter-Strike or something. It's so it grabs your mouse, and then this is also a bug, I think. So there are a lot of camera systems. So and always like this is always a good idea if you want to search for like what cameras does Cables have? You just enter camera here, and then you see all those informations like you can
Evil
get
is
the camera
asking,
position.
is it possible to target an object and make a camera following a path, like a spline of some sort?
Yeah, so you can now also import cameras from 3D programs. But so for example, we have this look at camera, and I'm also more like this. So you can set up the coordinates where the eye is basically and where it centers. So you can say, okay, look at 5,2 or something like this. So and if we have like a moving object, you just use those coordinates and feed them in here. So you can, for example, always say there's an op called coordinates, which gives you like the current coordinates where we are basically.
And you feed that to the camera.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can feed this to the camera. And this is also the next thing. Like if you search here for a camera or for coordinates or something, right? You can always say view documentation here or here. And then it brings you, like it opens a new tab and then brings you to this page. And this is like essential to learning Cables. Like you look at those pages, and we try really hard to have an example for every operator. And then you can open this in the editor here and see how this works. Like there's a little example here, how this thing works. And then you say, this is quite the nice movement. And then you can just say, okay, I copy this, like Control-C, and then you go over to your patch, and then you paste it just in, basically. And
that's
then,
nice.
And now I have this this movement of this patch here. But yeah, like this, you just learn how to use stuff. So there's not a lot of textual documentation, but you can always look up those examples. And also with the cameras.
They say documentation is important. You really spend a lot.
Totally, yeah. Totally, super important. And this is why we have those pages. And when you scroll down, you see examples, and you see public patches using cameras. So you see what other people use this camera for. So there's, for example, the Farbrush demo, and you can see what other people did with those patches. And then you can just like, there's this whole world of already things that were done.
I can copy KB and Darius' camera work and include it into my own entry. Exactly. How do you deal with the whole copyright thing? Do you just assume that everyone who is doing stuff on Cables has stuff public, or you can define what is private, what is public?
Yeah, so if you have like your patch, you can go to patch settings, and you can like per default it's private, so only you can see it. And you can publish it, and you can select a license, what this patch is under, basically. And then, yeah, I mean, we are not like following like copyright problems or something like this, but you choose this language. And if you don't want people to use it, then you should probably not really publish
Not
it or
make it
think
public,
about it.
yeah.
So, but yeah, the idea is that people publish stuff, and other people can learn from it and see how stuff is done. So yeah, we like most ops probably now have like an example, and many also have the video tutorial. So you can click this, and then you have a video tutorial here, how this op is used. And yeah, like we are spending a lot of time doing those tutorials. So we have, I don't know how many videos we have already. It's a lot of videos, actually. And there's also about demos and about like Android builds a VJ tool and connects it with Ableton, and controls like the visuals also from Ableton and stuff like this. And
that's really nice.
Yeah,
Be able to sync stuff with Ableton. That's really, for people who do music, that's really awesome.
Yeah, he does, like he did the whole thing on Twitch. Every Tuesday we stream on Twitch, and if you have any ideas or questions, just go there and ask us questions. We have like 5 viewers or something on Twitch. But yeah, we really want to get this more going, and you can just ask everything or contact us, and then we do an episode about whatever topic.
Let's do a small aside and talk about the general use that Cables has been getting. So it's not only used like for fooling around and making demos, but some people also use it commercially. I know you guys use it commercially, and I guess you have a few other partners, let's call it that also use Cables. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, like how many requests you have for special features or stuff like that?
Yeah, so we like basically like this is a lot of work doing this thing, and it also it pays the rent for a few people, and we don't earn money by people using it, so it will be free forever and probably open source at one point. But so we do projects for agencies or for companies with it. So you can see this also on this Made with Cables page. So for example, this is an awesome, so this wasn't done by us, Hamburg studio. So it's a page about those tables, and you can learn about those tables on this page. And yeah, this is, for example, a commercial project that was done with Cables. So, and this way we like finance developing it further. And so maybe we are doing a project for Nike or whatever, and they want to have this animation stuff. Then we write those ops, and we write those operators here, and then everyone can use them. So this is super handy, because this whole thing, like those operator things, like super modular, right? So this is like really like, I don't think you can have a better reusability of code than with those modular systems. Like, I mean, you know this, like you check out your old Git repositories, and then you try, like you check it out and copy paste code from there. And like here you can just reuse this. And this is how we work. Like basically every op is written because we needed it at one point for a demo or for a job or whatever. And then you have this huge collection of things, of those operators. And you can press learn, and there's this list, like those are all operators basically. And I think it's 1,400 or something now. And they all had a use case why we wrote them basically. So, and yeah, so those commercial jobs like really finance all this development and this big library of functionality basically.
All right, let's go back to basics then. Is there any fundamental stuff that you think it's missing that is worth covering right now, or shall I ask you weird questions?
Let's think about it. So
Black Pawn is asking about scene switching stuff.
yeah, we can do this. Should we do this already? I'm totally confused and have no plan. But
you told me
but
to
whatever,
ask random questions. I'm asking random questions.
Yeah, I should. I don't have my notes here.
We should
from,
have.
like,
You
what
should
we
have made like
usually
that
do.
perfect thing. This is a cube. This is how you rotate the cube. This is how you put
Yeah.
shader on the cube. This
Okay.
is how operators
Okay,
work.
let's-
This is how variables work.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
would be
let's
boring.
do
This is much more interesting.
It's more creative. Let's say.
Yeah,
it
it's more
this way.
creative, chaotic.
Okay, so we have this cube, and let's build on top of this, and then we do like a little bit of post processing, and we just do this also cube demo now. Let's remove this because it's super confusing. So we have this cube. So now we want to sequence this. So make a timeline.
Daria is saying that you can show their scene switching if you want.
Yeah, I will do it
instead of making one from scratch. If you want.
Yeah, it's super easy. So we have this thing that is called timed sequence. And this has a lot of yellow ports, as you see here. So we are still seeing the cube right now. But if I connect it here, it's not active anymore. So let me create a donut again. So now we see the donut. So I press F, and you see we are rendering the torus and not the cube. So this is because we have this input here, which is saying current. So I can switch between, when I enter 0 or 1, it will just switch between those outputs. And this is basic scene switching, basically. The cool thing is you can now say, I want this to be animated. So you animate either by connecting another thing to this port, right? But you can say set animated, and this means we use keyframe animation. So now the port is a bit grayed out here, but we see now the timeline here. And the timeline is basically, it's another timer. I can press play and you see this cursor is moving around, and I can...
we can't see very well because of the cameras, like you and me.
Oh, sorry. Let me move this here for now. So I can move this cursor around, and this is like basically setting the current time. So the time, like the timer we use here, this is not synchronized to the timeline, but I can say synchronize to timeline here. And then you see I move the cursor and then it rotates because it gets the time from here. So we see like this is 1 second. So I can press
Daria, let me just say this joke real quick. Daria is saying that it took her 8 months to wrap her head around the time sequence. So 8 months to figure out the sequencer and then 1 day to make a demo.
Yeah, this
anyway, I'm sorry, please continue.
No. Yeah, so this is basically like a switch in programming. Like it's like this is case 0, this is case 1, and so on. And then you just decide between those paths, basically.
What if you want both at the same time? You have to recreate the whole thing. That's the problem of the programmer. That's not even that's a problem for everyone. It's not a tool specific issue. That's what I want to say. Anyways, please continue. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you.
Oh, good. So now, so the timeline needs rework in cables, but whatever. So I can just enter a new value here. So 1, for example, to show our cube, right? So this is our scene 1. And now you see we created keyframes here. So you can select curves for those keyframes. But actually, for this, we just need an absolute value because we don't. This is not for crossfading or something. So let's put this on 30. So the first second we show the torus, and then we show the cube basically. So when I press play, so rewind and press play, then you see like for 1 second it's the torus, and then the cube starts spinning, and you can go on. So I go here and say 2, and now we create. Oh, I didn't show you like random cluster. This is my favorite beginner op.
Random classes?
And yeah, you can create like a cluster of objects.
Oh,
easily,
cluster, okay.
That are like just positioned randomly, basically. Let's zoom out a bit. So we have this nice scene here. And so this is like how you can sequence stuff. And now I will do what Daya said.
So how would you crossfade between these scenes? Is that like advanced part?
It's a bit more advanced, but this would involve like post-processing basically, because you want to do this in 2D, but we will come to that really soon. So this is actually like, this is so great that they published it, because my demos are so chaotic. So most of the time I don't really want to publish because like it's just chaos. But this is so done so clean. And
another question: can you like put boxes inside boxes, so like you can clean things up a little bit? It also has the problem that then you have to like double click to figure out what stuff is doing exactly. But
yeah, so what they did here, I'm still figuring out how this worked. But so like you can write comments. They have a comment here, scenes. So this is their scenes basically. So you see this is a flower field. When I go in here, then you see there's another patch field basically. So this is, so you can create sub patches, they're called, and then you work in those sub patches. And like, for example, in demos, basically one scene is one sub patch where you do stuff. And I don't know, Daya, do you even use a timed sequence? I don't think so. I think they did it with their own.
Just with a timer and figuring out what to show. With a global timer, you can just do that. KB saying that.
Yeah, I mean, I think KB wrote some. He wrote this if between them deluxe, and I think they
the
just
deluxe version, like it cascades forever.
But then let me show you. We have another demo. It's a remix of your favorite demo, I think.
Of Consume?
Yeah. So
you crossfade a lot here, so you must have some way of.
Yeah, we can talk about crossfade later. Or like what you can do is like you just enter crossfade here, and then you see something, and then you click View Documentation, and here you have a nice example how to
do crossfades.
Yeah, I shouldn't have messed with those values. Yeah, so now I can crossfade between those two images. And here you can then learn like how this works, and then you can try to put it into your setup. So what I wanted to show is like, so this demo uses this time sequence here. So those are our scenes basically. and you see those are not active now. So when I scrub through the time, you see, okay, now it's a different scene. So this thing, the padding scene, is being rendered. So you can scrub around and then you see what's going on. And this is also super handy for demos. So you see, okay, this one is the active one. And then you can basically follow the active path, and then you go in here and then you see, okay, it's super boring. It's this stuff, whatever is happening here.
Someone is
super
asking
handy.
about how do you expose the parameters that are included on the sub patches. So maybe since you're inside a sub patch, maybe you can show that. Or you were.
Yeah, you can. So let's see how you create a sub patch, right? So we have those things here. So and sooner or later, like your patch gets super chaotic and crazy and super big and also slow, the editor. So you want to just group this into sub patches. So you can select a few ops and then you have a button here, create sub patch. And so let's just do it with those 3 ops, and we create a sub patch, and then you see like all this stuff that wasn't outside. There is just inputs created for this sub patch.
It just does everything for you. That's like cheating.
And then you go in here. It could have
note down all the
this
parameters and stuff and say, I want this, I don't want that.
Yeah, so basically you just do it like this. And if you want something like whatever, we have like another number we want to go in there, then you connect it here, and then you have this new input, and here it comes out of this operator. Yeah, we will work on this.
Nice.
Like this will be like we want to work on this, so you have like you can put your sub patches into like a blueprint library and reuse them later and stuff like this. It's not really like you cannot create a port from inside right now. So we will work on this kind of stuff. So you can also create an output value. So maybe you're calculating something in here, and then you can output it also a value back out of the output. But most of the time, it's just basically has an input, and then we trigger it. And if you can, this is also super handy, like for organizing your stuff.
Yeah.
You can write a comment here, like this is the red scene or something, and you can also click here and type something like red scene. So because if you click in the background here, you see a list of your sub patches, and then you can easily click them, and then you are already inside the sub patch.
Nice.
So if you have a big thing like this, then you just see like there's the list of sub patches here. You can also write bigger comments. So there's a comment up, and then you can put something in here. Like you can read this when you're zoomed out. That's super handy to do. And yeah, you can also like create a bookmark. So you click here, and then you also have this in this list, and then you can directly jump to it. So if you have something like where you go often, then you can use those bookmarks and jump there. There's also a search function, so you can search for stuff in the patch.
All right.
Yeah, so this is the time sequence, and actually I will just remove this because I think it's easier to do it when we see everything for now. And so Blackpawn, do you have any questions about this, or is this clear? So this is also in the other talk, in the other demo talk, the Twitch stream on YouTube. This is there in detail. I'm going there into detail and talk about all the little things of this.
Like one saying, thanks for demoing the scene switching and subpatches. So I guess he doesn't have any other question. Question by 100-bit. Is it possible to make a demo using only built-in ops without external objects or user shaders? Yes.
Yeah, totally. So most of our demos don't use any self-written code or shaders or something like this. So there
how
are
good
a
is
lot
your
of
tool to generate stuff? Like if you want to generate, we already showed a bit of the geometry that exists, but how good is it to generate textures, generate stuff? What do you do for sound?
Dude, like which question first?
Everything. Answer everything at the same time. Let's start with textures, though.
Yeah,
how easy is it to generate texture stuff? Do you
Yeah,
do like a
so
shader, or do you have some generating tools
yeah,
themselves?
you don't have to write any shader. So you can basically render to textures is one thing. Like, so we have this, like now we have this awesome cube. Let's make it colorful again. And let's make this scene just a bit nicer so we have something that we can play around with. Let's use a random cluster. So we have some nice donuts. Let's animate them too. Oh, they are already animated. Yeah. So this is also cool. Like I can use a transform to rotate the whole cluster, and inside I will just rotate every cube on its own. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those are our scenes right now. So this is our awesome demo. And now we want to do some post-processing. So because this looks like normal GL rendering default mode, right? So we want to make it a bit special. Let me quickly reload. So basically, what is post-processing? This means basically we want to, like we have a 2D image, like what we are seeing on the screen, and we want to post-process this. So we want to change like the brightness and put some effects on this. So how do we do this? So we have to convert what we are seeing now, which is 3D, to a 2D image, basically. So we use an operator that's called render to texture. So I add this op, and then you see this, our output is gone. Because we are not rendering to the screen now, we are rendering to a texture. So when you click this operator, and this is with all the operators that create textures, you click it and then you see a preview. What is this outputting basically? So it has this output, like this is the depth texture, and this is the color texture basically. So this is outputting this texture. So we are not seeing it anymore. So we need to create like a little setup. So
rectangle.
Yeah, exactly. Now we reuse this full screen rectangle and put this here, and then it looks like before, but we have this texture. We got this texture out of it. So so why did we do this? Because now we have a 2D texture and we can do stuff with this. So we have an op which is called image compose.
Why did you put a sequence in between? Or am I?
Yeah, very good question. So we saw this time sequence, which controls like what is happening at a certain time, right? And then we have sequence. This is controlling what is happening. What is happening when? So, so as you can see, like the flow is from top to bottom, but also the flow can be from left to right. So, first of all, this whole branch is executed. and then this branch is executed. And in the end, it's full screen rectangles executed.
Okay, so it's like the order of what frame is rendered when.
Yeah, what is rendered. So basically you want to render stuff and then show it on the screen, right? So you can also do it like this. This is now has the same effect, but you don't really know what's happening. Like which is first. You don't know this. It's not that important for a demo, but basically you want to know that you render the texture and then you show it. Like you could also show like the image from the last frame and then render the new one, and then in the next frame render it. So this is just controlling your flow. This is not. This is also not super important for this thing now, but also think of it like you structure stuff. Like you structure your patch. Like you have this thing going on here, and then you have like we will build now a post-processing pipeline here, and then I output everything here. So so you can structure things, and then like make little groups or something.
Questions from the chat. Do you have texture generators and operations to modify the textures, generating new ones to make procedural textures with nodes?
Totally. So this is what we will do now. So we have this image compose, and so this will create basically a blank texture, right? So I connect this to the full screen rectangle and it's black again. So now I want to draw an image in here. So basically I want to draw the render to text. So, okay, first let's answer this question. Like we have this image compose. So this creates a new image or a new texture, right? So now we have a lot of ops that are called texture effects. So texture effects. So you can now click this, for example, and then you see the full name is ops.gl texture effects. And you can click this, and then you see a list of effects. And so those are all like 2D image effects. So there's, for example, chromatic aberration. And then there's an example. There's a checkerboard, like the most simple generative texture, basically. And there's a shitload of stuff that you can use, like just flip an image. Then there's more advanced stuff like pixel displacement, pixelate, like all this kind of stuff. And you can combine this. So maybe just start like checkerboard, and then you see we have a big checkerboard here. And then I say, I don't know, 12, and then you can twirl this, and then do chromatic aberration, and then you have this little RGB shift.
Do all operators use GLSL to generate and modify stuff?
Yeah, this is all GLSL shaders. And you can also go here and see this is the fragment shader for this op. So you can clone this and do your own. You can also write a custom shader. Like this is also like the shader toy thing. And then you can do this. So what are we doing here? So image compose creates a blank new texture or image. And then we draw a checkerboard on top. And then we do a twirl. And then we do the chromatic aberration. And you can change the order of things. So maybe it doesn't really make sense, but okay. So we have also noises. So if you search for noise, we have a lot of different noise functions for generating texture. So, for example, let's use.
Did I saw an hexagonal noise? Or was that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Hexagon noise. So let's just use simplex noise. So this is. So you can change the scale of this noise, for example. And with all those things, think of this like in Photoshop. You have like different layers, and you lay them over. So we don't see the chromatic aberration anymore because it's overdrawn by simplex noise. So again, this is the order of things. So the simplex noise is just overdrawing everything. So I can select blend mode, like in Photoshop, for all. That was a stupid one. For all these operations, so I can fade them in and out. You see, so I can just combine everything. So I can also say,
Okay.
I can say I press X to remove the connection, and I can say, okay, I move this here. Again, that doesn't really make sense, but now we are also twirling the noise, and I can just mix those images together. And I can go even further. I can create like an image compose, which is used as a mask or as a modifier for the other image. So so this is basically like you can create textures with it, but also you can use it for post-processing. So okay, checkerboard and noise is boring, right? So we just say we want to draw an image in here, and we can use draw image for this. So we have this image from our rendered texture, right? So I can just draw this here, and then I have the twirl on it, and then I have the chromatic operation on it. And so now we are post-processing this thing. So, and I can change the values. So let's give it another background color. So then you see a bit more.
Twirling donuts.
Yeah, so there's, for example, also like, I love this thing, what's it called? Barrel distortion. Then you can like do this. And then you have already this fisheye effect on there, or like a vignette thing on top, and maybe a little bit of noise, so it's not streamable anymore.
Nice. Yeah, that's perfect. Nice way to fuck up the stream. RIP encoder.
So yeah, you can just apply a shit ton of post effects, and this is basically like all our demos. Oh, what is this? All of our demos look like this. So we have like one post-processing pipeline.
They just applied it to the whole demo.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Often we have like every scene has its own post-processing, and then in the end there's another post-processing on top.
Yeah, like a global one to like make it more cohesive somehow. Alien is asking a question about collaboration. Can two people work on the same project at the same time?
We are working on this, but not yet, no. Okay. You can open this and then you see like someone else is working on it, but you need to be a bit careful, like talk to each other and say like, okay, reload now or something like this. You can open it at the same time, but only one person, like the one person that saves last, that's the version that you have there. So what we actually do is like, everyone creates. So let's make a demo, I don't know, about lasers. So everyone creates some patches and plays around in small patches, not in this whole demo patch. Like, so yeah, I wanted to show this actually. So this, and then
you can copy paste from one to the other.
Yeah, exactly. So then you copy paste. But so when I worked with Uncle X, he said, yeah, we need some laser effects. Actually, in the end, it's more. It became CRT effects, right? So this is a patch where I can click the mouse and then I see different things here. So those are the overlays from the revision demo. So this is just a patch where I just built this shit. And so most of the stuff we didn't even use, like a Logicoma demo logo or this thing, we didn't even use, but I just created all this stuff. I just went wild and like, this is like brainstorming. Like, let's just create a shitload of things. And then Uncle X, like he just copied, like when I press F, you see, okay, we are only this is executed right now, right? So this is this effect. So you can just copy this and copy this over in the demo patch. And this is how we work basically. And in the end, one person decided like, okay, let's put this over or let's use this and then do the synchronization stuff. But this patch is just for playing around and trying stuff out. But so you don't want to work all the time in this big demo patch. You just want to like put things together in here and not work on the effects most of the time. Sure, the syncing you do here, but yeah.
The chat is going crazy. They are saying be kind to each other, use kind lasers. One person makes the laser, another person makes the shark. Who tapes the lasers to the shark? Those are the hard questions that we're trying to answer here today. More questions that we wanted to cover. I think I already gave it a pretty good overview of all the things.
So this is. Yeah, we didn't talk about Hypnoglow yet.
That's so 2002.
No, but so what I want to say about the image creation stuff. So I can just create another image like this simplex noise thing, right? So I create this image and let me animate this so we have a nice movement. And I can use this image for another effect. So for example, we have pixel displacement operator. So this operator has a texture input, and this is a bug that it works without even having a texture connected. So I connect this texture here, and then you see like it's displaced by those values. So when it's white, it's displaced a lot. And if it's black, it's not. So if I turn this down and it gets black, then it's not displaced. So I need to select this mode. Now you can select the different modes and like what is driving it, and you can select like how much is it distorted on each axis. And with this, you can also do like tons of effects. So for example, if we do, let's use the pixel noise. So this is just creating a pixelated image. And then you see like the displacement of this.
Yeah, only works on half the place. And you can do like transitions for it and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you can just create funny effects with this kind of stuff. So and you can animate all this stuff all the time, right? So you can just do this or scroll it. And with this, like you can combine the stuff. So you can just filter out like the bright parts of the image and then blur them, and then you can create a glow around the objects and all kind of effects you can do with this. And this is also like we use this for synchronization often. Like you just put an FFT stuff, which is probably what we will do next, right? Onto those effects, and then say like, okay, like just do this when like there's an effect, and then you can easily do this techno demo you always wanted to do.
Yeah, Hypno Go for life. We have a few other questions on the chat. Procedural objects. Can you do procedural object stuff? I mean, I know you can code your own nodes to just do the geometry yourself, but there are shit tons of objects already implemented. We talked about that earlier on the stream. I think Paulo wasn't here yet.
So you cannot. I mean, like you can just change the parameters of the torus, but I don't think that's what he's going after. Like it's not a mesh generation tool. Like this kind of stuff is really slow in JavaScript, so we don't really do it. But you can modify meshes, like you can extrude them or like displace the vertices. Let me show you. So we just saw pixel displacement, but you can also displace vertices directly, and then you can see. Let's have a look at this.
Won't that be slow in JavaScript? Isn't it better to like import the model if you're just exporting, extruding vertices and stuff?
I mean, animating it would be really slow because.
Do you have some way of baking it so it optimizes, so it doesn't do it every cycle?
Not really. Not really. So you can like, this is a rectangle, and then you can displace it, and you can create stuff like this, right? But there's no mesh generation tool in Cables. It's not really a goal, I would say. So we have other stuff, like, for example, you can load a 3D model, for example, and then you can put put meshes on this model, for example. So you could also create you can create stuff with this, like particle-like systems or something like this. But there's no super complex mesh generation in here. But maybe it's a good time to show how to load a 3D model, because it's also super easy.
Okay, go for it.
So I just opened Blender and create this monkey. And I can just say, so Blender has a GLTF exporter. So you go to export and say GLTF. And then you select GLTF binary. This is the only thing you have to do. Like, currently, Cables only supports GLTF binary. And then you say export. And
what is included? The vertices, the normals? Well, what's included?
Also.
How do you do if you want to like animate and have like skeletons and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So object animation is in there, and also the bones we don't have yet. You can load Collada files with bones, and then you can have like walking people animations.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening? But we're still working on this. But there's like 3D meshes are included. Like, if you have baked mesh animations, like morph targets, that's included. Camera animation is included. Probably I'm forgetting a million things, but let's make it
importing
a bit more
3D
advanced.
is a very complex topic. There are also always a lot of things that don't import well or something like that.
Yeah. Shit, I'm a total Blender noob. Okay, let's just do it like this.
Yeah, Blender can be a bit hard. So people in the chat are saying that Blender can be hard for new people. It's a different workflow if you're used to 3ds Max and other 3D things. The shortcuts are slightly different. The viewports are slightly different. So you need to get used to it. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's very powerful.
So I created this file here, this GLB file. So I can just drag this onto the browser, and it gets uploaded. So now we have our own patch files here, and I can drag this in here, and then it creates this GLTF scene op. So now we can just disconnect the torus and connect this, and then we have
rotating monkeys.
Yeah, let's put it here.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, this is quite easy. Let's give it material. Yeah, and this is how you can import meshes, basically. And you can, so this is really cool. This GLTF scene op is quite complex. So you can say show structure, and then you see like the structure of the 3D scene, basically, and you can select objects and hide them in here. And you can also say, I want to expose this. And then you create a new node here of this Suzanne mesh. And I can add my own transform here and rotate this. So
let me
this
just
one I
read you
wanna
two reactions on the chat. Cool, sick. So you're doing something right.
So the cool thing is now I can just work on this 3D file, but I can just use those meshes in here and put my own animation on. And when I just update the GLTF file, it's just still working basically. And I can
uses your own transforms anyways.
Yeah,
Nice.
and also like the cables materials on it. So like you can have this workflow, like mix this workflow, like still working on 3D file and then re-importing, and still like your materials are the same than before and stuff like this. So I mean, the workflow
nice
with
for
like,
iterations.
3D scenes is, the workflow with 3D scenes is always complicated. So like we had a completely different 3D file loading system before, but I think this works much better. And yeah, you can do a lot of stuff. Like you can use like the animation curves of objects. You can get them as an array and do stuff with that. And yeah, there are a million possibilities basically. Yeah.
What about sound? How do you get sound working and syncing stuff with sound?
Yeah. So again, like we can just grab this MP3 file here and upload it to our library. So there it is. And then you can drag this in here, and then you get this audio player, which is okay, but we don't want to use this actually. So there are different like use cases for sound. Like you would just want to say play some samples or something, but for demos you need a bit more complicated setup. So we want to use web audio basically. So we want to use the audio buffer and the audio buffer player. So again, we click view documentation, and then we see how this is working. So basically we load an audio buffer, then we put it into a player, and this is put into an audio output. So we even have some sound modifying operators in cables, so where you can change like parameters of the sound or like put it through a filter or something, but we don't want to do this for now. But I'm just lazy, so I'm just copying this stuff and paste it in our patch.
And this is all based on web audio, right? So
exactly,
it should be easy for people to extend to make their own nodes. Like if you did your own synth using web audio, you can just copy paste your code.
Basically,
hopefully,
mostly, yeah. It's I'm not really into web audio, but it's so web audio internally works basically like a node-based system. So you connect stuff like inputs and outputs to each other. So it's really already like cables works internally. They also have those ports and inputs, and so you could write audio ops. At one point we used Tone.js for as a synthesizer op, but I don't want to get too deep into this because also I don't have really good knowledge of music or sound programming. So so now I like the audio buffer. I loaded our MP3 that we just uploaded, and now the player you can just play hopefully. Yeah, I cannot hear it. I hope it's playing right now.
Yeah, I can't hear it either. Let me check on the stream. Well, people on the chat, is it playing?
No, I don't think so. No.
Alien saying that it's playing on stream, but really low. Okay.
It's playing. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can Here. Ah, yeah, no, it's sealed. Okay, so now we have this. Really annoying, not trivial. So we have this music playing. So I can just check this checkbox and then it's playing or then it's pausing. So, but for a demo, we basically want to synchronize it to the timeline, right? So at this frame, it should always be the same sound every time. So there's an operator called timeline controls. So I can connect this to the audio buffer player. So like this, it has a play pause output and it has a time output. So I hope I'm doing this the right way. I always copy my own stuff for this. Offset, yeah, that's it. So, and now, hopefully, you can just skip. I would just enable the sound here so I have a bit of control. Yeah, it's totally not working, I think. I know it is. It's just delayed. Yeah, I really need a preview from this machine. Okay, so now I can just scrub here, and then it's always playing from this second on, which is, yeah, you can just go here, and then the sound's always the same, like in the demo later, right? And
okay.
And now,
that's how you connect it to the timeline. Okay, I see what you were doing.
So sorry, yeah, exactly. So timeline controls this operator. It has no inputs. It just has outputs like where is the time from the timeline, and is it playing or not. So for the demo, it's not so important because it's always playing usually. But this, you see, when I press, when I enable the flow mode, you see when I press play, it's changing the offset and the play state. So this is just a helper because like cables is not only used for demos. So it's not always like the timeline. Usually we only use this for demos actually. So so you need this little snippet, and then you have like your demo audio system set up basically.
Okay.
So this, yeah. And this also in the YouTube video, this goes into detail a lot with the audio stuff. So now
how to do FFT analysis and that kind of stuff. Okay, really good.
Exactly. So so this is like not connected to the graphic pipeline right now, right? So this stuff is our painting code basically, and this is our audio code. So how do we connect those to each other? So there's, for example, an operator which is called, so maybe just search for FFT because you said the word FFT, right? And then you can see what is there. So there's, for example, this FFT area average, which is a bit more advanced. I just want to show the audio analyzer first. So this operator gives me an array of the whole frequency spectrum. I hope I say this right. And it gives me an average volume, right? So I now connect the audio from our player to this audio analyzer. And when I play now, you see the average volume output just, this is basically synchronized to the music now. So I cannot hear the music, but I'm just imagining it. So we can take this value that comes out here and connect it to this displacement we have from before. So now when I play, you see this should be synchronized to the music. So if this music is louder, then like the displacement is crazier basically.
Nice.
So this is basically like the most basic form of FFT. So also we have this array coming out here, and this is basically like the frequency, the whole graph, like 128 values, how high the value is on each thing. But we have this awesome operator which is called FFT area average, and this has a really good example. So with this operator, you can select an area from the spectrum of the sound. So you can say, okay, I just wanna
like the low end or the that's cool.
Exactly, yeah. And you can you have this little texture preview thing where you can position this. So when I put it here, then like this bar at the top is like the average of all values that are in here. So right now it's always filled, so it's always 1 basically. So I can move this around and put it here, or put it here, and then it's only like not very often. Like, yeah, and then you can basically try to like how do you say, like get a specific area or a specific instrument or something. I mean, it's always a pain. It's always a pain in the ass. This is where I like
to know exactly what frequencies you want and what range they are
yeah
going.
Also, it's always a bit too late, I think, but yeah, so this is super handy. So you can let's have a look at the patch.
Definitely, I could definitely use this.
Yeah, so and yeah, you can have multiple of those, and then you have one for the bass and one for the high frequency stuff and whatever you want, and in the end you get one value out of it. And so this is, for example, the background color here. Yeah, and this is even smoothing the value. So we have an op where you can put the value in, and then it's smoothing it already. So actually,
does it smooth with the previous buffered value? It's like smoothed over time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So without that, it would.
That was another question, but maybe I should let you finish the sound stuff, which is how to access the previous frame. Is it the same for audio and then for graphics? I guess it's not, because audio you have a buffer, so you can.
Yeah. So. Yeah. First of all, like this is a different thing, I guess, but I can show some feedback stuff. So yeah, this is basically the FFT stuff, and yeah, watch the other how to make a demo video. Like it goes a bit more into detail about this, but yeah. Yeah, this is how you access this sound stuff, and then just search for all the stuff like with audio or something, and then you get all the ops, and then you see them. And also just come to our Discord and ask us questions. Like if you want to make a demo, just ask me directly, or
where is the Discord? Because it wasn't on the main page. Where is it on the main page?
Yeah, I will add this tomorrow. So we also let's talk about this. So we have this learn thing here, and we also have this forum. So you can go to the forum and ask questions here, and also answer questions of other users. So this is like the first, the best way to do this kind of stuff. But if you have just short questions, you can ask them also on Discord. But for bigger stuff, go to our forum. Sorry. Let me just close some things here. But actually, yeah, exactly. So it's not here. So in this forum, there is a link to our Cables Discord chat. But I'm also on the demo scene.
Daria posted it
Discord.
on Twitch chat, so we're good.
Okay, cool.
People
Nice.
have access.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm also on. Like, my name is Pandur, by the way, and I'm also on the Discord demo scene channel, and yeah. But yeah, to just chat with us, come to our Discord, and then we can talk, and you can also ask questions. And if you need, like, I will publish this patch later so that you can open it and use it as a template.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Or copy everything from it, basically.
Okay, so last technical question: how do you like get the previous frame buffer if you want to do like feedback effects or something like that?
Yeah, so actually it's not saved or anything, but we have an operator that's called copy texture, which you can use to copy a texture, and then in the next frame you can reuse it again. So let's see the documentation. Yeah, so this is a really basic version. So you can just create a snapshot, and then you have saved a texture of that specific frame when I press this. But if you scroll down, you see, things that people use it for, and it's often used for this feedback kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this uses it for some glowy stuff, but let's see, I made this. So this is using the last
blur.
frame, and and this is like the color comes from chromatic aberration, and then it's again pixel displacement. So you can do stuff like this. Yeah. But yeah, feedback stuff is always so hard to control and make it look good. But yeah. So this way you can also make like a super cheap motion blur effect, and so we just use copy texture to have like an old version.
I had some issues with feedback and web stuff because either it crashes browsers, like you're trying to send stuff to texture while the texture is still in use, so it's a bitch to set up. And I had some older demos that just stopped working properly because standards in web development changed, and suddenly the effect is no longer feedbacking as it was supposed to. And now the demo is literally lost because I didn't have a video of it, so I only remember how it was supposed to look like. I don't know, it was in 2008, 2009, so almost 10 years ago. How it's supposed to look 10 years ago, I don't remember anymore, so I can't recreate the effect anymore.
Maybe you can download a Firefox from 10 years ago.
That might be a nice day.
Netscape. Yeah. This is sometimes it's a pain in the ass how stuff changes, and then you have to adapt to it.
How reliable is Cables across all the different operating systems and browsers? So do you have any like problems with, I don't know, Internet Explorer or something like that?
Yeah, Internet Explorer is not possible.
Anything that runs WebGL?
Anything that runs WebGL, so Firefox is no problem at all, and Chrome, so that shouldn't be any difference. Like if your GPU is blacklisted, you have a problem, obviously. Basically, everything mostly runs on Android too, and on iOS and on Safari on Macs. It's a bit problematic, but because they only support WebGL 1.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Don't they have like a version limits on the phones?
Yeah. So you can run into problems, but like we try. So everything is recompiled into the current version of WebGL, basically. So right now this patch is not using. Yeah, I mean it's not possible to use WebGL 2 stuff on iOS, but like this patch. Here in the browser, it runs in WebGL 2, but on the phone. So let me do this.
You have like a special setting that compiles it for WebGL 1, or only uses the functions from WebGL 1.
Yeah, exactly. So the difference with those simple stuff is not really big, right? So it basically just works out of the box on WebGL. So you can open this. You're not seeing this. So you can open this page and click this little burger menu. Nice bug. And then you see this QR code, and I can just scan this with my phone. So this is an iPhone.
Hopefully it will
iPhone.
play on your phone.
Yeah, sure it does. No, so now
full frame rate and everything. Nice.
Yeah. This simple stuff. I mean, those like if you work for clients, like most people have a better GPU in their phone than on their office PC.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like those iPads
future is mobile.
Are so powerful. Yeah,
future is mobile.
Sadly,
no one does websites for desktop anymore. They do websites thinking of how they will look on the mobile phone.
Yeah, it's not. But that's how it is. But so that's the awesome thing, right? You can send your demo to your mother, and she watches it on her phone in real time. Like, that's crazy. I think. Like, there's
great.
No
one more way for my mother to complain that I don't do proper music. Thank you, Pandur. Thank you for that.
No, but I really love this multi-platform thing.
It's really powerful. The people on the chat really loved it as well. So congratulations. I think you hear this enough that by now it just passes you by. But I think you did a great job with cables, and it's still in dev, so it's really interesting. What more can we talk about on the seminar? Is there any specific topic that you would like to cover that we haven't yet?
Sure. We can talk about other functions. We can also we wanted to show how to code an operator.
Yeah, maybe show operators on specific demos that you did that might be a bit more interesting for some people. Because I mean, finding new opcodes, I think it's relatively easy for people to go through the list and try to find a few. I don't know. Stop me if I'm saying something stupid.
I just want like most of the demos are not really are not really using like specific like new ops or something. Like most of the demos I did, like they are all public now, or like they are so experimental that you cannot use them, but it's a bit hard. But I just want to show like the workflow, how easy it is actually, and then maybe show the custom shader op. But yeah, so I can just say in the menu here, coding.
We already had the pro tip from Daria on how to get the most out of cables is having a glass of red wine with you. It helps a lot.
Yeah, actually, let me grab a beer. Like, one second.
I can't have one. This is cheating. I have a bad throat.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's fine. Go ahead. Drink your Kolsch.
No, actually, it's Bavarian beer, but yeah.
Bavarian beer?
So
Berlin has a pretty good beer scene as well. Do you care at all about beer culture?
I like to drink it when other people are around, but I'm not like the beer connoisseur. I like boring beers, I think. But yeah, so Uncle X and Break, they brought me to this awesome bar where they have like 25 beers on tap.
Wow.
All the time.
Yes,
and
please.
they are also changing all the time. It's really nice, but yeah, I hope it still exists.
The best place that I went for beer was at Brewdog in Berlin. So that was
I heard this
great.
name. Yeah.
It was so good. I had Tokyo from tap there, and it was the best thing ever. Anyways, question from Black Pond: what is Pandur most happy with? A thing that turned out nice or better than expected with cables.gl, and what does he think needs the most rework or revisiting? So a thing that you think that you were most happy with, and something that you feel that needs to be redone somehow.
What I'm most happy with, I'm not sure. I just
You're not happy with anything. I'm
No,
just
I'm I,
sad all
like
the
no,
time.
I'm happy with most of the things probably, but I think like most happy is like when like people when it's enabling people to do something, right? So,
Hmm.
and this is not only demos. I mean, demo scene is I love this, and this is like a big part of my life. But when you see like people doing like art installations or
Hmm.
like their own websites or whatever stuff with cables, and they're like, yeah, I could never have coded this, and they can create like an interactive thing with cables and then use this. Like this is crazy for me. Or like when people say like yeah, it's about when people learn stuff with it. Like this is a really like for me this is a great feeling. And um yeah, and you really don't want to fuck this up. Like you want to make this better. And so yeah, I love to like create. So all my old demo engines, like they were even scriptable or had some user interface, and nobody ever used them because they
Hmm.
were so hard to use or something. But now it's like really like people just from all over the world are using it, and that's a crazy feeling. And this is what makes me happy. And maybe it can grow to a bigger community or to a bigger thing that a lot of people use and pays like pays food and rent or something like this. This
Hmm.
is this making me happy.
No,
Yeah,
your community is still growing. I mean, I don't know numbers exactly, but I've seen people use it more and more. So I assume that you're still booming the community. It's not world known like processing, for
yeah,
example, is.
it's hard. It's hard to get the word out. That's also what I learned. But like we have no pressure. Like we don't have like investors in our neck, like saying
Hmm.
like you have to sell more copies or something. Like we are totally on ourselves, and we don't need to do like sales or something like this. So we are just developing it and making it better every day, and see where the journey goes. And that's also making me really happy because I worked in this whole startup thing, and like that totally doesn't make me happy. So I didn't want to make this a startup or anything. Um, Maybe at one point we sell like a pro version or something where you have more disk space or whatever. I don't know. Because at one point, like we have to think about this kind of stuff. But
I think you can just like get a
whatever.
Patreon for monthly support, and people would send you
Yeah,
money to keep working on cables.
yeah, this is also an option. But this is also like, if we would do this, like, how many users would we like? How many people would we need to do this before, like, we can pay one person or something? I think it's
Hmm.
totally fine, like the way we do it right now. But yeah, we are
Okay.
thinking about like like, I mean, there's this whole area of how can you earn money with open source projects, or like look at Blender or something. But yeah, this is a different topic. But yeah,
Yeah, but Blender has a big scale, but it's an
it's
interesting topic. I don't know how much you want
yeah,
to go deeper on it on this seminar, but there are a lot of open source projects that and conferences about open source that
yeah,
talk about this, about the commercialization. How do you make these open source things viable? And
yeah,
Arduino was one of the best examples until people started fighting over it, and then it became just a weird mess. And there
okay,
are other examples of stuff like processing is an interesting example as well. It's completely free. People can do stuff with it,
yeah,
but it's mostly developed by grants of people. And I think most of the successful open source projects out there are like people who do it for their own company, but they make it open so other people can reuse it.
yeah,
So they get funded because they are the experts at the thing that they
yeah,
do.
yeah.
And people are making fun of my pajamas. Well, fuck you. My pajamas are great. They're stripes. Um, what was the
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to ask of you? Oh, well, the thing that you think. Well, I have two questions for you. The first one is from the chat. What thing do you think needs more rework right now? Like, what's on top of your
Yeah.
to-do list to fix?
Yeah. So one thing that I'm working for a long time is like rewriting the whole patch UI. So this whole thing here, this right now is done with SVG, and I'm in the process of rewriting it in WebGL and then the whole editor, because this gets slow if you have a lot of ops. So the whole thing will be rendered in WebGL too. So then it's also 60 FPS. And then we can do a lot more like helpful rendering, or like displaying previews in here in the ops, or displaying graphs here and stuff like this, or like displaying values. And like we have a lot more possibilities because SVG is just slow as it's super slow. And
It
we
looks
have
okay to
patches.
me. I don't
This
think...
looks okay, but we have patches with thousands of operators.
Maybe you should encapsulate things a bit more.
Yeah, but like changing the DOM all the time, it's crazy. But like it's the rendering is already there, but just the whole interactivity is just a big problem. But I when this is done, like I will redo the whole timeline, because this could use a lot of work and do this probably. But yeah, those are the things. Then we are planning to do this whole working together at the same time thing. This is also on our list, and we have so many things that we want to work on. We have so many ideas, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I just thought of another way that open source companies sometimes use, is that when you buy like a subscription, you get to have direct response, like support of some sort. Like people talk to you directly, answering questions and stuff, instead of relying on community forums. So that's another way that you could like pay one person just to be handling support stuff. And
and doing like trainings. How do you say? There are
workshops.
A lot of possibilities, but
the other question I wanted to ask you about is about your competitors that are quite similar to this. The main one I can think of is VVVV, that now also runs in JavaScript. Have you taken a look? Have you completely ignored competition like that? Do you have any? What is your advantages and your disadvantages? Do your sales pitch right now for those million public investors that are lining up.
Yeah, so if you want to do web, then I don't think there's there's something more advanced than cables out there. I mean, there are.
Did you know of Visor? The guys, there were some demo singers as well that were involved in Visor, but then it tanked. So it was Melody, it was Yako and Feather that were doing it. I don't think Dune was involved in that, but their product was quite interesting, but they were relying on funding, so they tanked because they stopped having funding after a few years. So you're having similar issues, I guess, eventually. I mean, clearly you're still running it also as a company, and still funding it.
Like we write black numbers, so we are the positive numbers. No, we don't have any funding. Like we don't have any investors or external money or something. This is just us developing it, and we don't want to have anyone
controlling also.
Exactly. Or like, but Visor looked great. I think then they concentrated on the on the VR stuff, and then I never heard of it. But so do like high quality, super amazing stuff for high-end machines, then you probably would use Notch or Touch Designer or something. But I think Cables is much more versatile because it runs on the web, so you can just create your website with it, or like the background of your website. So the focus is really that it runs on low-end hardware, so it runs on your phone or on your laptop even. So like most of the other things are really targeted to high-end machines. So, and nothing runs on a Mac, basically. The whole multi-platform thing is a big pro of cables. So, but yeah, I think like there shouldn't be only one tool. I hope like still does another version of tool and publishes it, and I hope there's more competition like other people yeah, I think this area is not really explored, and I wish like more people would use node-based stuff, because it just has so many advantages about
Really
over
powerful.
just only coding.
Yeah, and it takes the problem away from the programmer and lets creative people play with it. So I think that's
totally,
the
like
main advantage in my opinion.
yeah, totally. That was also one of the things, like working with creative agencies or with artists, and this communication, like, yeah, make it more red or make it bigger, and then you say like, here is this slider, just play with this thing, and then you can just do it on your own, and then it's like usually it's like this feedback loop, like, yeah, make it bigger, yeah, make it, like, then you change the code, then you compile, then you deploy, and then okay,
make
yeah, make it more bigger, and then okay, you do all this stuff, and then like you do this like 3 times, and then everyone is bored, and let's not do this again. But if you can do this right, then you just say like, okay, I create
whatever you want.
I give you a list of operators, and then you play around with them, and then everybody gets it. You don't even need to understand the whole setup. You just do this. And I mean, so when we work with clients, like we have this sidebar system, so you can create sliders here and toggle,
make those available for the client to mess around.
Yeah, and then you create like a little user interface. And we also use this in our example patches, and then they can play just around with the settings and change the simple stuff. But yeah, it's just like giving people like the possibility to do this. Like, this is also why this is a stupid word, but those people, they are like creative technologists, they call themselves. It's just this word.
Yeah.
And sounds horrible, like a hipster word or like a buzzword or something. But actually what this means is like, those are people that understand the technology. They understand what is a GPU, what is acceleration, whatever. Like they know this technical stuff, but they are not super good programmers, but they just know all this technical stuff. And a lot of them go to processing or something, and just use like a more simple system, and node-based stuff like takes like this hurdle from you, like having to work with the syntax or something. Like many creative people like really have problems with the syntax and structuring code, and that's horrible for them. Like the node-based system is much easier for many people. And
are we doing the whole architecture? Because we had lessons on how to do like the perfect architecture, and we failed so many times at doing a 3D render pipeline that we know the way to do the proper architecture. But people who are new to doing 3D code, it's a lot easier to have the node and you just drag stuff from one side to the other instead of figuring out where your code is fucking up with a black screen. Anyways, more questions from the chat. Thoughts on vertical flowing versus horizontal flowing node graphs?
We wanted to go into the coding stuff, right?
We wanted to go into the coding. I mean,
okay. Thoughts about vertical flowing versus horizontal flowing? I don't actually care. I think this is the most compact way of doing things. I just don't want it like in Blender, which everything takes so much space. So I think this is better, but this is just a matter of taste, I guess.
If it works.
Yeah. I also like that that it's like code. Like this is also from top to bottom. So it's just a matter of taste. But like we had like users that were saying like, yeah, can I switch this to vertical mode? Otherwise I'm leaving. We're like, yeah, sorry. Like we just decided on this one, so we cannot choose between. I think it's a taste thing, but I really
Just
I really
rotate this.
want to see like a lot of stuff on my screen, like, you know.
Just rotate
your
it,
screen.
and then it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you want to show some example code of some stuff? Shall we do
Yeah,
that before wrapping?
So Paolo Falco also asks like, or says like, it's the balance between nodes and code. So so I can just do this and say like inertia.
Here, all nodes are code.
Yeah, and press create, and code editor opens. So I can just save this. And now when I press escape and search for inertia, you see we have this op here. And I can just add it to the patch. So we coded this op already. So let's add some stuff to it. So there's a whole documentation and also some tutorials. But I can just say something like create an input port with the name number 1. And then I just press save or Control S, and then you see the op just changed. So we have now an input port here where we can enter a value. We just have created this port. And I can create another one, which is an output one. Let's call it result. And now you see we created this output port. And now I can say, if the input number changes, we want to execute this function. So every time we drag this, or every time something comes in, the different number comes in, like this function is executed. So I can say something like result. We want to change like the result to twice the number that comes in. So we say in get, so we get the number multiplied by 2. This will be our result. So now you see when I put in 2, we already see 4 as the output. And yeah, this is basically how you code ops. So I can also add another number and say we want to add those 2 numbers up. So now you see we have the sum of those 2 numbers. So I want to update this number also when this changes. So now when I change something here, like it gets directly updated. And this is how like the user interface thing works. So we have a few, like it's not that many types of user interface, like a slider or like a switch buttons or a drop down or a string input or something. And then you can work with this, and then you have direct control, and you see like I never reloaded this website or something. I can just, like if I crash this op, then I have to reload, but actually you can just develop here and you don't need to reload something or redeploy or whatever.
Paulo is asking about debugging and checking for errors on those.
Yeah, for this you just use the default stuff from your browser. Yeah, so you can just use your console and see all those nice debug messages. No, you can just use the browser for this, or just so
console,
now
console log.
Yeah, you can use console log, but you can also like just start the debugger. So now I'm in the debugger for Chrome, and then you can step through your functions.
Nice.
So you just use like the browser tools that your browser brings with, and then you can debug.
All right.
So yeah, if I do something stupid, then you see like you get this message here, and you should probably reload, and then you see, this is not defined. So when I click this, then like you see the whole stack trace, and then you see it's happening there. And this is like the usual browser development stuff. But this is but this is still working, and you can still save the patch even though the op crashed. And so I think it's already working again. But many times you have to reload because some state broke or something when you crash really hard. But in general, it's really easy to develop.
Okay.
To develop those ops. And then when you want to submit your awesome demo, or when you want to put this on your website, actually, are there any other questions about coding ops?
Not right now.
I didn't see anything. Yeah. So you just want to put this on your website, like you want to get this out of Cables. You can just click this export button here, and then it compiles a zip file for you, and you can just download this. And this is just 8 megabytes because of the audio file. Like you can create like under 100K of patches, I think. So this actually compiles only the code that is used with the ops in your patch. And then like, it's not like a 3D library where you have like everything exported all the time. So this is mostly only using what you really used here. And so this zip file contains an index HTML, and it contains all those files that we uploaded. And this you can put on your web server or on your website, or put it in an Electron thing or something. Like this is not sure, the editor is like a cloud thing. You need to go to cables.gl to edit, but this is not like a YouTube video or something. You can really export it, and then you have those files. Like you put them on your server, and they are not.
But if you only want to use this cables thing as like the background for your website, and you need to edit this HTML, how did you make it like more versatile, so you don't have to like whenever you export it change everything? Do you have any quick way?
What do you mean?
Like
we have some. We have like a command line exporter. So you can also integrate this into your workflow. This is not what I mean.
Like as a template or something?
So basically you just, as you say, like you copy this index HTML, which is really, really small. We can have a look at it. And then you just export all the other stuff like the assets, and then you only change basically your like the JavaScript that contains the patch. So you can build your own, like you have to build your own workflow basically, but basically you just export, and you just don't use the index HTML in there. You choose your own.
Use your own index HTML. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because most of the stuff is on JavaScript anyways. Paul is asking another question. Is it possible to share custom-made nodes in the tool?
Not right now. If you created a nice op, then please tell us. And like we talk to the users, and then like, for example, this camera thing that was done by a user, and also you're credited here, who created this op, and just tell us. And then if it's usable and it works good, then we will include it in the library basically. But right now you cannot publicly share your own ops. So, but
people can still copy paste it from your patch, right?
No, like you don't have the access rights to my ops basically. So I can say, okay, I want to share this with you, Oh, my battery is getting low. You still hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can invite you to this patch basically, and then you can also use them. But you cannot, like, there is no way of sharing this right now. We are
Okay.
thinking about some ways, but it's also a security thing. But yeah, we are thinking about this, how to solve this. But right now you have to invite someone. So probably there will be also like some team functionality, so you
What
can
if what if
share
you
like.
clone the whole patch? Do you have like a copy of the thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that
But
bad.
only as long as I am included in the patch, yeah. So this way, it's not a big problem. You just have to know this. But yeah, we are thinking about how to make this better actually. And yeah,
Okay.
so this is yeah, so this is how you code ops and export it. But you can also write shaders, and those are like you can create a custom shader op. Let me go back here. No. And then you can just code this. So this custom shader op is just used as a material right now. So right now everything is gray because this is our shader. So I can just say it's red or something. And so yeah, this is how I write a shader code. So right now the code is just an input port. It's not a really new op, but it's just writing a shader with this custom shader op. So I can say like I have like a uniform float, let's say red, and use this here.
Is this a pixel shader or a compute shader?
This is a pixel shader. In WebGL you only have fragment shader and vertex shader. So pixel shader and vertex shader.
You don't have access to compute shaders on WebGL?
No, it's not. It's a really old
yet.
version of GL, basically. No, sadly not.
Okay.
But yeah, there's like the next thing will be WebGPU, which is a new standard. It's much more modern than WebGL. So it's not everything is possible with WebGL, but so we are stuck with OpenGL 3 or something. And this is basically the end of WebGL. There will be new version. But there will be WebGPU, which is like the more modern thing. Yeah, Uni is a bit strange, but this is just the define. You can also use uniform. But I like this because so we have this in and out. And when you use it in WebGL 1, this is actually varying because like this is a difference between GLSL 3 and 2, I think. So we have those defines that are changed in different versions of GLSL, whatever, not talk. But yeah, you can just define a uniform in here, and those are exposed then as a port. So I can just add whatever sign anim here, and then the color is animated by this. So you can just create some values and put them into the shader. And yeah, it's super easy to write those shaders and get those inputs from outside from the CPU, basically.
Nice. Okay. I think we're wrapping up. Do you have anything else you would like to share, or shall we call it a night?
I mean, I want to that the people check out like our YouTube channel, because like there's so much stuff we didn't actually touch. So for example, like little particle systems on the CPU. So Andro does a great job showing like how you do stuff like this, like little explosions or like little particle systems and how to do this. And there are a shitload of materials that can be explored and all this kind of stuff. I mean, we could talk for 2 more hours, I guess, but yeah, check out the YouTube tutorials, because it's the fastest way to check out all the features, or just explore everything. Like try to use the website, try to see the examples and the featured patches. Yeah, and just explore it basically.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pandur. That was great intro, great seminar to cables. I think a lot of people got interested in making a demo for Inertia right now, which is great. We need all the demos we can get.
Yeah, I'm also
Inertia
thinking.
demo party once your demo entry. We made with cables. Extra points if you make it with cables. I know a few organizers.
Yeah, so when is it? On
we
the
can hook you up.
2nd of October, right?
2 and 3
2
of
weeks.
October. The deadline is on 1 of October, I believe. On the 2nd of October, we will have a big shader royale where we will have people coding shaders for their lives. And then the compo blocks themselves will be on the 3rd of October, which is a Saturday. So yeah, please make your entries. And yeah, thank you very much, Pandur. I think that's all.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Okay.
If anyone has any other questions, contact him on the forums or on Discord and that kind of stuff. So bye-bye, everyone. Have a great evening. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.